Welcome back to the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Jeremy Knows. I'm your host, Jeremy, Heart Trooper 7, and we have a special guest today. We're going community chat style. We're talking to the one and only Sakari Smithwick, V-Friends OG, Noble Numbat, and one of the 5 winners of the Sorcerer Scholarship. So we're going to be catching up with a little bit of that journey. So much that has happened since with their project Noble Promise Studios, all leading up to the next major event being the debut on Hell's Kitchen. So I'll allow him to tell you that story. So here he is, Sakari Smithwick. Bam!
Woo! What an intro, man.
I try. I do a little research.
I love it, man. I feel it. I'm over here trying to tweet out about being on live. It's my first time being live. Super duper excited. And thank you so much for having me, dude.
I'm even more excited. I get to host you for your first.
It's crazy.
This is so cool for me because I know you pretty well. I mean, before VCon, at VCon, post VCon, I've seen you a bunch because you're here in the city, and we were already engaging a lot in the early days. But the Sorcerer Scholarship has been kind of like held close to the chest. There wasn't even like a big fanfare of who was decided, and I think there's a lot of people who would like to know what's going on with that, but I don't want it to detract from the things you were already doing. Like, I think one of the cornerstones of like my the way that my mind remembers you is like you were going to do it anyway, and that's really what got you across the finish line. So that we can address it for people and get really into Noble Promise, can you give people a little bit of background? Like, how did you get to Gary V? How did you get to NFTs? And what was it like winning the Sorcerer Scholarship?
100%. How did I get to Gary V? And what is it? How did I win this thing, man? First of all, it's I'm super grateful to even be considered and just blessed to even apply. Like even the ability for us to apply, I think, is something we don't even look at. Sometimes we look at if we win or we lose, but the way I got introduced to Gary was like at 24 years old, I got my first Michelin star, which for people that don't know, Michelin stars is like a award thing or whatever. It's pretty big in my industry as a chef. And our restaurant had to close, which was pretty crazy. Our restaurant had to close, and I was like, man, no matter how good the food is, we still have to learn business, location, food costs, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And being me from where I come from, like I can't afford a subscription thing from someone paying, $100 a month to get content or something. Gary V gives all away his stuff for free. So that's kind of how I got introduced to it. His bravado was very like comforting to me. Coming from where I come from, like it was just very real, very authentic, and it just stuck with me. So that's kind of how I got introduced to Gary. He got me back into sports cards. I made some money doing sports cards during the pandemic and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
And then NFTs. I mean, he introduced me to NFTs because I heard him talking about it, and I never heard him so passionate about something ever, like coming on the live, and he was just saying like this is going to be the best thing, and like I'm telling my friend, like whatever. So what I did, I had no money at the time. I called one of my friends. I said, hey, listen, like, you have any work for me or something? And he's literally in the back of a Chinese restaurant. I call it a Chinese sweatshop because you literally have no space at all.
It's like a tight New York kitchen.
Yeah, super, super duper tight. And we're doing catering for the pandemic in the back for like 500, 600 people in the back of a Chinese restaurant. And that's how I got my money, right? Along with selling basketball cards. That's how I got my money to basically mint my first NFT with V-Friends.
So which was the Noble Numbat, right?
Correct, which was the Noble Numbat. So I saw this scholarship thing and I was like, I could do this. Like that's me all the way. I love writing. I was a good writer. I'm not very good at grammar, but I know how to story tell. As a chef, it's so a part of what we do. We share a part of ourselves with the world through food, and it felt very natural to me to be able to apply. So I made it to like the second round, and then I ended up getting denied. And I think when I found out I was denied, I was actually sitting right next to you at NFT NYC.
Yep.
And I was hurt, whatever the case is. I think prior to that, I think I talked to Andy in the street at NFT NYC. And I was like, hey, dude, like, man, like, my name's Sakari. You know, I worked at McDonald's and did this and da 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 da. He's like, he stopped me halfway. He's like, did you apply for the Sorcerer Scholarship? I was like, yeah. He was like, I read your essay. I'm actually the one that read your essay. I was like, oh, cool. He's like, you have such a cool story, man. Like, just keep going. Like, don't stop, whatever the case is. So then later that night, I think, or the day after, was the wine party. He actually helps me get in because it was like impossible to get in. He helps me get in. Like, he like whispers to me, like, hey, listen, like, make sure this kid gets in. I get in and he comes up to me and he's just like, hey man, what's going on? Whatever the case is. And I told him that I got denied. And he was like, I was like, listen, but I'm not even gonna like feed you a sob story. And I was like, I'm just gonna show you what I'm gonna do. I'm not even gonna tell you. And he just kind of nodded his head a little bit. And it was just like very weird. I didn't know what was going on. I think the next
it's quick interactions too, loud party.
Yeah, you know what
you
I
don't
mean?
think too much of it.
So then the next day, I think Gary tweets out a basketball card that I gifted him months and months, like I think a year ago, you know, and the plan with this basketball card was I wanted to give this basketball card to him to show him my appreciation, but also as a way to hopefully maybe like sell it to him with the in return of a mentorship. Like I didn't want money. I just wanted you to like mentor me. So I wanted this whole Sorcerer Scholarship thing, mentorship, before it was even a thing. So I gave him the card. He loved the card. He never posted about it. He ended up posting like 2 days or a day after this interaction with Andy. Very serendipity, you know what I mean? Very, very weird. And what he tweeted was obsessed. He didn't give me any credit or anything like that. I made sure I tweeted.
I remember that tweet. Yeah.
I remember tweeting underneath it like, oh, I'm so happy you're enjoying it. Like, this is amazing. He just said he's obsessed. Next thing I know, I got reconsidered for the Sorcerer Scholarship. Next thing I know, I won the Sorcerer Scholarship. And here we are.
Bam. It's such a great story, man. Like on a bunch of different levels. Like on the conviction side, that like you didn't need somebody else's approval to go do your thing. Like on the persistent side, like showing up is the game. Like at the end of the day, like if it's not happening in your timeline, you got to show up the next day. Like you got to figure it out. Like you got to build it for yourself. And like you were there at NFTNYC, you were there at the wine party, you were there for yourself before that, and you're there for yourself now. Like I just think it's a huge example. And like you know, you go ahead.
And just real quick on that point, just to add some value for people, like I had a really great conversation with the well-known chef, and his advice to me was just like, you need to be at like all these places, like whatever's going on, you need to be there. That was his advice, right? And showing up early is also very important. So like if you have your own ambitions or whatever the case is, or you got your own thing going or whatever you want to do, like being around, right? And just being yourself. You don't have to try hard or anything like that, but just being around and being early. Because when you're early, the people that are part of the whatever they're hosting, they're going to be there, and there's nobody else. And then that gives you the opportunity to have meaningful interactions with people that you admire, and you can learn some stuff or whatever. So that's just some tips I think can help.
No, I think that's great. I mean, yeah, absolutely. There's that whole adage. It's like if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're fired. You know?
For sure.
And like, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do with these VFriends things, right? Like I'm trying to go to as many as possible. And it was definitely the case at the National. The people like, because at the National, Gary had like 3 tables around him and he was in his zone. He was looking to sell cards. But if you got there early, there was nobody around. Like, you know, people pay tens of thousands of dollars for that kind of access to Gary. And it was free if you were willing to get up a little earlier and make sure you were there. It's really awesome. What can you tell us about the Sorcerer Scholarship now? Like, is there anything folks can look forward to, or how they might? Yeah, go ahead.
It's already changed my life. I'll first start with that. It's already changed my life, and you know, it's obviously a slower process. They haven't even announced that much because right now they're building VFriends. I think it will come when they feel the right time is. But that for me was the best thing that's happened, because I no longer decided to wait for anyone. I just decided to put my head down and work, right? And what that's done is gave me more things to bring to Gary, right, with this mentorship. And then also gave me more time to take advantage of the relationship that you get introduced. The best thing with the Sorcerer Scholarship is that they introduce you to almost like whoever you want to, really, and like his network. And you think that you think that like life doesn't, like what I'm learning is like life doesn't work all the time the way you want it to, right? So like you think you're gonna get introduced to someone, and then immediately right there they're like all about you, and they're gonna want to invest, or they're gonna want to do this, or it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You know, relationships is the most important thing, and that takes time. You know, so for example, the reason why I said it's already changed my life is because I met Fly Fish Club, and I
Yeah.
had a great conversation with them, and like that was it. It was like advice. Hey man, I'll see you later. I'll see you on the other side. Like keep going. Very inspirational, very cool, whatever. I took it upon myself to email them right after and invite them to my next pop up, which they still weren't able to make. No worries. I took it upon myself when I saw an ad that they needed a chef for the US Open to reach out. Now, I already had that introduction. I already had the email thread,
Mm.
right? That introduction, I already had my little foot in the door, right?
Yeah.
So I took that as opportunity. And even then, it was still a very thing where it was like, you sure you want to do this? Like, it's a lot of hard work. It's going to be like, it's very like, like it's not what you're used to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, no, man, this is a great opportunity to get to know you. That's all I cared about,
Yeah.
was getting to know them. And it ended up being the most amazing experience. I got to witness history from Serena Williams. I got to, become really like get well known with Connor and Josh and David, and build that relationship. And now, like next week, I have another event with them that they invited me to. And you know, I think Gary said it one time. It's like when you get in the inner circle, if you're good, like it's over, it's game over. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And it's all about giving too, right? Like I just sent them some merch today, right? Just sent them whatever Casey's
Smart.
merch, and I don't want anything in return. It's not about like this whole strategy thing. It's just build a relationship with people, because at the end of the day, that's how you get to the next step. That's how you get to the next level, is people. So,
Yes.
with the right people, I don't have people that have resources where I come from. I look around, like everybody's doing the same stuff, so getting to know people that either have experience, that can give you advice, either have the resources, is invaluable. So that's an example of what's up with Sorcerer.
I think that's really inspiring, man. And I hope that a lot of people kind of get inspired by it. When it comes to, I think I'm learning this lesson over and over again. It's like any problem you have is really a people problem. People or maybe time, like time is
Mm-hmm.
definitely limited, but you can solve that problem with the right people. And it can be in business, but like, I'm just talking about like people you keep close, people in your circle, people you talk to, people you take care of. Yeah, I think that's really good alpha. We got a random question here, so we're just gonna answer it. What is oyster fat?
Oh my god! I think that's one of my friends.
What's up, Gary? Good to have you.
I don't even think his name is his name really Gary?
His name on Twitch is Gary Gastreek.
Oh man.
Isn't some part of food like gastrology or something? Am I making that up?
Yeah, I feel like that has to be Alex, man.
That's awesome.
Um,
So what is
definitely has to
oyster
be.
fat?
Oh,
The
man.
people want to
So
know.
so there's this joke going around, right? Where you'll see like I can't reveal too much about Hell's Kitchen, but basically
Yeah.
one of my signature dishes, right, is it has oyster fat in it, right? So we take cured oysters, we blend it up with like different types of fat, cook it down, and basically like a almost like an oyster butter, right?
Okay.
So we take
Cool.
like so I usually like to smoke them. So I'll smoke it, I cure it, and then I'll cook it in like a different types of fat, and then I'll have that fat, keep it in the freezer, and then whenever I make a stew, right, a called oyster stew,
Ah.
which is inspired by Thomas Downey, who back in the 1800s he was known as like the oyster king. Um,
Oh.
and I'll make this oyster stew, cook down with cream. You just reduce it.
Ooh.
Thyme, lots of pepper, not too much salt, but you want to cook the potatoes actually in the cream. So you don't want to cook the potatoes before in a separate. You want to actually cook it in the cream with the oyster fat, with the oyster juice, and it just makes this delicious stew, right?
I bet.
Um, and yeah, that's kind of a little bit about what oyster fat is.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, I'm
Thanks
looking.
for the question, Gary.
I mean, it's a great transition into Hell's Kitchen, and like definitely like let's talk about the storytelling of being a chef and making a plate, because I love that you made that connection, that metaphor. But some people may not know what Hell's Kitchen is. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what a chef is. But actually, maybe just for fun, what's the difference between a cook and a chef, like in a practical way?
So for me, I mean, I always like to humble myself and say that, like, even as a chef, we're still cooks, right?
Absolutely.
Like, if you look at a famous chefs like Michael Pierre White, like, he always felt like he was a cook and he was no better than anyone else. So, but the difference for me between a cook and a chef is a chef creates and a cook executes just on other people's creations, you know? So like a cook will just cook the recipe that's given to them. A chef will kind of lead, execute, and just create different ideas, create different stories and things like that. But
that makes sense. So it's a more creative role in the process.
Creative leadership. I mean, there's obviously like different, I've worked in kitchens where there's like a hierarchy, right? So you got like line cooks, right? Chef de parties is what they call it, right? So that means that you're in charge of a station. You have sous chefs, which is kind of like the general in command. You have chef de cuisine, which is person that's in charge of the food and basically leading the staff. You got executive chef, which is the person that's over the chef de cuisine. And that person, does payroll. They'll do food costs and things like that. They'll take a real management position. And then usually in some cases you'll have a chef and founder where, the chef kind of lets an executive chef lead and a chef de cuisine lead, and they'll take the role as being the face, or they'll take the role as doing other ventures. It goes on and goes on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I say wow because when something's unfamiliar to you, it's always the magic you see in front of the curtain, right? Like I use a lot of theater metaphors, right? Like there's a lot of ugly stuff that happens behind the scenes, like people tripping over costumes, changes, props, things getting knocked over. But on stage, you keep the show must go on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's easy to take for granted, like how many people, how many roles, how many, different tiers of leadership are required to execute.
And honestly, the team is everything. I've seen very successful chefs that, like, to me, like, really weren't that talented, but they surrounded themselves with really talented people, and it makes you look smarter, it makes you look better. But you really just gotta trust your team. I think team is the most important thing.
That makes perfect sense. So who's on your team then? Let's talk about your team.
Let's talk about my team. We'll go back to Hell's Kitchen. My team right now, I have two co-founders, Kelsey Giddens and Moshe Douglas. So Moshe is a graphic designer. He sold an NFT for like 1.2 million for a Kobe collection. Really talented guy. He's founder of Peace and Parmesan. Kelsey Giddens, talented, amazing artist. Really been a rock solid person during this whole process. So they're on my team. I have different chef friends like Alex, who's a good friend of mine, obviously.
Yeah.
And I have another good friend. I have another good friend, Paris, who's worked in some great restaurants. Deborah, sometimes I'll bring them in for different events and stuff like that, which is really important. But I think just finding people that you really organically blend with, and just really get along with, and that you trust. I think everything's about trust, right? You got to be able to trust. I think trust and respect, right? Like in old school kitchens, they'll lead by fear. I don't believe in that. I think like if people respect you, you can turn your back and they'll still care about the food,
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's everything, especially when you're looking at Hell's Kitchen, or the demographic. It's a team sport, but it's a competition still, right?
Yes.
So you have to actually trust your teammates who are actually your competition as well. So that's a very interesting slippery slope. And you'll see during the season, like you have to trust some people. And there was times where I trusted some people and it might not have worked out. You know what I mean?
Might not. Don't reveal too much.
Yeah, it might not have worked out. So you really gotta just find that intermediate. But
yeah, I want to give a little more credit to the people you called out, just to give people a visual. This is from noblepromisestudios.com, which is the website for Sakari's NFT project. I think we'll get into it more a little later, but just so you can see the names and see the site if you want to check it out while we're chatting here.
I appreciate that.
I'm also going to give this a try. Let's see. Did we pull it off? Bam.
Woo!
We got design. We'll do it live.
But bam, look at that. I love it.
So Hell's Kitchen. I've actually never watched it, but
Never watched it.
I'm familiar that it's, like you said, it's a head-to-head and team-based,
Yep.
like best chef wins kind of show.
Yep.
Led by Gordon Ramsay, right?
Yep. So fun fact, I've never watched Hell's Kitchen before coming on the show.
Before being on it. Cool.
Like the way that I got introduced with Hell's Kitchen was like they reached out to me via Instagram, and and I looked at it and I was like, is this real? You know what I mean? I was like, is this really happening? And it was real. And then obviously it's a very long process to go through for the interviewing and stuff like that. And I decided to do it. And one of the reasons why was because obviously Gordon Ramsay. There's very few chefs that you can look at that's on TV that are actually really, really fucking talented, like really talented, you know, and that are chefs before the TV, before the face, that are just them, and then they've just became successful. I feel like Gordon does that, you know. He's gotten a rep or name for his persona, right?
Yeah, being like rude and like
brash. But I mean, honestly, anybody on TV, you're always going to have some type of persona perceived, right?
Yeah.
But one, he's an amazing person. First off, like he's an amazing person, and two, he's an amazing chef as well. Even before the cameras and stuff like that, like he's done some, like he got 3 Michelin stars, which is not an easy feat, you know, working for Marco Pierre White, and then also he like helped birth other chefs. I think that's how you really tell like a leader is who else do they make great, you know? Like if you look at Lil Wayne, I like hip hop and stuff. So you look at Lil Wayne, right? Like Wayne came out, but then you know he had Young Money, which is record label, whatever it is. But Drake came from Wayne, right? Nicki Minaj came from, and now you're looking at their success, and you have to think like Wayne had some type of play to do with that. Of course, people are talented, but you know, same thing with Gordon Ramsay, right? Like Claire Smith has Core, which has actually just got 3 Michelin stars, I think this year, or the year before. I ate there in London when I visited. One of the best meals of my life. You know what I mean? And she came and she ran the kitchen for years for him. You know what I mean? The person that won Top Chef this year, Top Chef is another obviously show. Buddha, he worked for Claire for a very long time. You know what I mean? So if you look at these amazing chefs, it's about who else can they make great. I think that's the true definition of a great person.
Yeah, we have a saying. I don't know if it starts in the theater, but that's where I heard it. It goes, "We stand on the shoulders of giants," and it's the reminder that like we have the opportunity to do these things we're doing because of the people who came before us.
Yep.
Like every person who suffered or strived or built or failed or otherwise like paved the way for what we have today. And it's all in the same thing. Like people are the most valuable resource on the planet, period, and forever.
Bam, there it is.
Good one. So that begs the question, Sakari, when does the show debut? When can we see you on Hell's Kitchen?
September 29th.
Boom.
September 29th is happening. It's going down. Woo! If we had some effects, it would be crazy. The whole screen would light up. It would be insane.
I know. I got to get some animations going.
So September 29th, Hell's Kitchen is premiering. It's going to be incredible. I'm throwing a watch party in Brooklyn, in Bushwick. I'm funding the entire thing. Invited some of my friends. No Promise Studios is hosting it.
Yeah,
which is incredible. And with No Promise Studios, what our thing is all about is showcasing emerging talent, right? I needed a platform to showcase my story, what I was doing, and I didn't want to just do it for myself. I wanted to help other people come up along with me, right? Yeah. So I didn't want to just become successful and do everything that I'm doing. I wanted to help other people, right? So we created this platform for everyone else as well. So we have emerging comedian Jarrett Harvin, who's going to be hosting it, right? He just did a sketch with Josh Peck from Drake and Josh, right? Amazing guy. Diana Padilla, who has like, I think almost 500,000 followers on TikTok or whatever. I went to high school with her. amazing. I used to sing with her in chorus. I used to sing. I can't sing now. I'm not good.
Are
But
you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure. But I love singing. I love theater. I love art. I love music.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's gonna be performing. Right. We have different rappers and stuff like that. We have Aurora Mendez, right, who is actually a professional violinist. Who's in the NFT community, right? We have
I
a
know
couple
her.
different DJs. Yeah, like so we're showcasing emerging talent, right? We're showcasing obviously the debut of Hell's Kitchen. It's gonna be on a rooftop. Noble Promise, which is my restaurant catering company, will be supplying food along with we're talking right now with Pizza Dow. Shout out Pizza Dow, which will most likely, hopefully, supply all the pizza for the rooftop party. And it's just going to be a great time. It's going to be an RSVP event, right? You want to RSVP to make sure that you can get in because obviously with rooftops, the capacity is limited. And it's going to be a very, very fun, wild time, surround sound, energy.
Yeah.
I'm providing the drinks, I'm providing the food, and I'm providing the vibes. Let's get it.
Yeah, and you're providing the vibes. You're going to provide the vibes by singing us a song?
Yeah.
So again, September 29th, debut of Hell's Kitchen, catering by Noble Promise, emerging artist, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. I believe. Let's see, I've got it right here.
It's 5:30.
5:30 to 10.
You
10
don't
o'clock
want. I know
in
people
Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn, I know people are going to be late.
Well, yeah.
I know people are going to be late. That's why I put 5:30 instead of 6.
People should show up early, right? So they don't miss out on the food.
Exactly.
Or the drink.
You want to show up early. You want to show up on time. You don't want to miss any of these performances. I mean, you're going to be meeting, to me, what are emerging superstars, emerging stars. You never know. These people might become superstars in the next 5-10 years. And you could be like, yo, I remember them when they came to a show or they came to this thing, and you know what I mean, and get to build relationships with people, right? That's what it's all about. So yeah, get there on time.
And tickets are about $20. It's probably $20 after fees or anything.
So it's 15. It's 15. That's with fees, I believe.
Okay, so this is with fees.
Yeah, with the fees.
I want to highlight something. It's in all caps here. It's free for Noble Promise Studio NFT holders. So
correct, 100%. So if you hold one of our NFTs, right, and that's what it's all about, right? We're building a community, right? We're giving value to people that support us. That's about the vision. So if you hold one of these NFTs, you can show up free food, free drinks, free vibes, everything, just for being an early supporter in our community.
Fantastic.
And that's what it's about.
And tell us about this gentleman here.
Yeah, I mean, I just got a tattoo dedicated to him right here, Legacy. I saw a quote from Giannis Antetokounmpo. I love competitive sports because it really is about that high level energy, and that's why I really had a fun time at Hell's Kitchen. You'll see me wake up early. You'll see me be like a just a wholly different person almost because I'm in that mindset, right? And Giannis Antetokounmpo is one of those people, right? Kobe Bryant's one of those people. You just become like a killer. So anyway, I saw a quote from Giannis. It said, "I am my father's legacy," and that really touched me. So I got this tattoo here called Legacy. Bam, Legacy.
There you go.
Bam, Legacy in his handwriting. So I literally went through old letters. I found the perfect letters. I put it together, stitched it up, brought it to the tattoo artist, and so my father recently passed this year, September 1st, and it was a very, very, very tough time for me. My dad, no worries. My dad was like my best friend. He was like a superhero to me. I started thinking about the brand Noble Promise, right? So my name Sakari in Swahili means Noble Promise, which means you have a promise in future and you keep to your word. Started thinking about that, and I'm like, what does noble mean? Am I noble, et cetera, et cetera? And I was like, I think I embody that, right? Honorable, right? Loyalty, kind, those types of things, right? Integrity. And I'm like, well, why am I like that? I'm like, oh shit, like my dad, that's how my dad was, Oh, cheers. Thank you, Dream Talk. Yeah, my dad was the most noble person that I knew. And going to his funeral and hearing the stories, the funeral was like 2 hours away, right, from our neighbor. And our neighbor ended up showing up to the funeral, and he told us a story about how he let someone borrow a snowblower. He let him borrow the snowblower, basically. And I didn't know he was going to come at all or anything like that. But just that story of how the act of kindness, that's my point. The act of kindness that my father had um, really was touching. And it really showed me, I guess, why, I don't know, I built this brand and why I am the way I am today. So our mascot for No More Promise Studios is based off our father, which that's why we're building this studio to eventually turn it into animation studio, build out this intellectual property. We want to drop kids cookbooks to educate kids on the importance of eating healthy. If you look at it right there, that's actually built, like that's actually a drawing of it, right? We took my father from my talented co-founder Kelsey. He gave it like a Disney edition look, and yeah, man, that was actually at our last viewing party right there. That picture was taken at our last viewing party for Chopped. So I threw a Chopped viewing party. He was there. He's not gonna be here for this one. He'll be there spiritually. But it's a way for his legacy, right, to live on forever. And that's what it's all about for me. That's why I do what I do, for family, for love.
It's a super powerful story, man. Thank you for sharing that. I know it was recent, and again, you know, I lost my dad last year, and it's like it's one of those.
Sorry, love.
It's just one of those moments. You can't prepare for it. You can't describe it. You just. But I'm glad you're okay, and I'm glad you have this amazing outlet, and
That's
yeah,
what art is for.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I love art. You know, that's why I look at myself as not just a chef, but as an artist, because it's a way for us to express ourselves. You know, and
Mm-hmm.
a way that I grieved or whatever was basically finding meaning in everything that happened. And now I have a purpose. I feel like I always had a purpose, but I feel like I have a purpose now to change the world. This is how I'm going to change the world, right? Is I'm going to use this mascot as a way to connect to people, right? The next generation, people that are younger than me, right? So that way when I'm gone, right, people want to eat healthy, right? People care about what they're putting inside their body because food is medicine. And that's something that I'm really, really passionate about. And a percentage of our funds are actually going to go to National Black Food Justice, Black farmers, supporting Brooklyn, things like that, to get fresh food into our communities, which is something I'm very passionate about.
So I see that Mint is currently on pause. I know you said you're doing some website reno, and so it's probably that. Being that this event is in New York City, you know, I'm excited to help you just get as many Be Friends there as possible. I think once people, I hope that this video is good for you to be able to like pass around, you know, because the story is so powerful, and there's plenty of Be Friends out here in New York City, and I think it'd be awesome for us to turn out. But is there a way for people who aren't in New York City or can't make the trip to support you and support Noble Promise right now?
Just follow us, follow our journey. Our
Okay.
Instagram is really active. I put out content every single day. Our TikTok is very active. We put out content every single day. Our YouTube is active. We put out content every single day.
Yeah.
And really, we're just building this platform. The way I looked at it was like, I don't want to just build my personal brand, right? I want to build this platform, right? So now, let's say as we build and things like that, now we can showcase other artists and other people, right? To help them break through, right? So we're gonna fight. We're gonna go through all these doors. So I mean, the way you can support is just follow our journey, see what we're up to. You know, everything that we're doing, we're documenting everything, and yeah, I mean, if you want to purchase an NFT, you can. You don't have to. But just following us and seeing our journey, to me, is the most meaningful thing. You know.
Can people mint from the contract, or is there a way to mint right now?
So right now with the merge going on,
Oh, you paused it.
we're paused it and we're also upping security on it, right?
Okay.
So we want to increase the security, obviously with the merge going on and stuff like that. And then also we're updating the website. And we're also, you hear it here first. You'll get the exclusive, Jeremy.
I love that.
You'll
I
hear it here
love that.
first. We're creating an allow list for people to mint for free an NFT, and we're giving it away into different communities, such as the Be Friends community, Work Women,
Oh,
so on and so forth, Fly Fish Club, Chippy's World, et cetera, et cetera. So
that's great.
that's why I might pause, but We want to give back to all the communities that have been supporting us, and just spread the love and spread the message.
I love that. I love that. Well, I'll be in your corner for anything you need. You know that.
Cheers, man.
And I really hope that that VFriends rally around this. This is, we've seen a lot of bullshit projects over the last year and a half, and all love to them. But when somebody comes out and it's purpose driven, there's charity components, it's art driven, it's people driven, I think it just really sets itself apart, and that's been clear to me for months. And so I'm really glad we did this, and I hope that other people see it. Like, no, it's just the way it is, right? Like, I've been an artist for 10, 12 years, and you have to trust your gut on these things. You have to gravitate to the things that feel right.
Mm-hmm.
Gut's not always right, but it usually is.
It usually is. 99.9%.
Yeah. When it's wrong, you're probably just actually afraid and didn't really,
And it's not even, and even then, it's not even wrong. It's like it's you meant to learn something from that.
100%. 100%.
That's why it happened. But going back to what you were saying in the beginning, which was like, I was going to do this anyway. Like, before NFTs came, this has always been part of the process. If you look back at my old content, it wasn't Noble Promise Studios. It was just Noble Promise, and the quality was down. And I might not have, you know what I mean? We start, whatever I was doing, like we've been doing this, and this has always been part of the plan. It's just blossomed into something else, and we're gonna keep growing, keep building.
Yeah, totally. And like, I want to give you some flowers too, because I've seen as you've gotten mint funds come in a bit, like the production quality's up. Like, I saw did you have like a whole camera team or like a camera person who came with you to the open?
Right. So the plan actually is to be fully transparent, because I always want to be transparent with supporters, community, and everyone. We're building this from the ground up, and we haven't touched, and we will not touch any of the funds that we've gotten from the community, because we want to make sure that, one, we deliver on our promise, right? At Noble Promise, we want to make sure we deliver on our promise on all the physical assets. We want to make sure that we reinvest back into the physical brick and mortar space, and so on and so forth. So we haven't touched, and we will not touch until everything is actually sold and minted. So what we've been doing now is literally all my money and funds that I get from catering or my gigs from Noble Promise, I'll reinvest into Noble Promise Studios from the ground up. I'll use my friends, et cetera, et cetera. So as far as the quality, that was actually Flyfish Club's team. That was Flyfish Club's. They have a salary. They have a salary. They have a guy on salary named Abe, amazing creator, and he was able to share the footage with me, and then
you did the voiceover.
I did the voiceover, and I do everything. I record it from my phone. If I don't have the footage for something, I record it from my phone. I edit it myself, and I tell the story. And we're doing it right, like I said, right from the ground up. And then you know what's cool about that is a lot of people will be scared, and including me from the beginning. Like, you'll be scared to put stuff out, and I have empathy towards that, right? Like, you start thinking about, like, well, it's not good enough. I'm meticulous. I want it to be perfect. I think perfect is just a way to hide your insecurities. There's been plenty of stuff that I put out there that, like, I know could be better, but the best way to get better is by doing it, right? And the more that we do it, the better we get, and the more as time goes on, you'll see the growth. So when we do have our full studio, right, and when we do have our production team and stuff like that, it's going to be way better, and it's not going to be me all the time on there. It's going to be different. It's going to be different artists, different chefs. The cool thing about Hell's Kitchen is that I was able to meet all these talented chefs from all over the world, or from all over the country. And these guys became my friends. I wasn't into the whole drama thing, but these guys became my friends. I actually love some of these people. These people are like amazing.
Yes.
And I want to be able to build this platform to give them their flowers, and to give them a platform, right? To give them their own show, and so on and so forth. Because we're not waiting for Food Network to come knocking on our door to say, hey, you deserve a show, right? Like, I think you got it. Like, no, forget that.
No,
right? Like,
we got the tools. We got the technology.
If you want to show, if you want to showcase, if you want to do something, like, you could do it. All you have to do is believe in yourself, right? And this is why we're going to do this. We're going to create these tools and this platform for everyone to give that to them.
Phenomenal. You actually reminded me of a really great idea, and I want to share with you because I think it's valuable for it. Like on the perfection question, because I put out tons of this long form content, and my short form game is like total crap. It's crap. Like I'll be the first one to admit it. And I don't know. It doesn't matter what my excuse is. It doesn't matter if it's time or whatever, my lack of editing skills. I gotta figure that out. Otherwise, we're gonna hit a ceiling. But I was thinking about this and I was like, people ask me, how do I make the content I make, et cetera? They want help. And they deal with the perfectionism issue. And I found the best solve. And I want to know what you think about this. Record a piece of content like a podcast or a video podcast, ideally a video podcast, and then first get over yourself, post it raw. Just post it with all the mistakes, all the no intro, no animations, no title, write a description on the fly, post it raw. Then give yourself a little space, like 24 hours. Like you don't want to like watch your podcast right after you've recorded it and then get really self-conscious and like maybe delete it or get nervous and trip yourself up before you start going.
Yeah.
Then you do the Gary Vee thing, right? You look at your big piece and you find even just one chunk that's your like 1, 3, 5 minutes long, pull it out and post that raw. Now that 5-minute piece is your canvas. How much, like if your thing is perfection, instead of like being in the shadows, doing every little thing until it's perfect, post every single draft. Because nobody's going to get bored if you like, firstly, most of your followers won't see all of your content. It's like 95% won't see it. So if you post it again, no big deal. But if you're making incremental tweaks, eventually you get to the place where you're like, actually, this is about as good as I think it's going to get. And then you can go back to your pillar content, find a new chunk that is a little gem and do it all over again. Yeah. Like, I think I want to try doing this where like I find the video and then I just add like an animated title and that's it. And then I come back, I have the animated title and I add a pop-up or two or captions, post it, and just refine the same piece of content to get out of my own way. Right. And which I think is a big problem for a lot of people.
I love that, first off, and thank you for sharing that. I think what you're talking about for me is like daily habits, the habits that you build. That's how you know what I mean? If you do it every day, you're eventually going to get better at it. Maybe you start off raw, and then a year from then, maybe you're editing, and the next year, maybe you're hiring people. And the next year you're doing this and doing that. It's all about doing. It's all about executing. For me, the way that I got over it was I remember I held this anxiety one time over something. I forget even what it was, with a chef actually. And I told the chef, I was like, hey man, I'm so sorry about this. And he didn't even know what I was talking about. And then in that moment, I realized like, yo, people don't care. Some people do, but like people don't care enough to like, like whatever, like who cares, You just got to put yourself out there. I look back at my journey, right, as a chef and everything I'm doing and whatever. The only way I got here was by putting myself out there. If I was too scared to put myself out there, I would have never got any of the opportunities that I have. And it goes back to how bad do you want it? What is the purpose of what are you doing it for? And once you realize that and you hold on to that, you'll keep pivoting, you'll keep changing, you'll keep going, and you won't stop.
So, yeah, same. That resonates with me a lot. And it makes me think as well that, it's worth acknowledging sometimes, especially in the Gary Vee community, when it's all like clouds and dirt, like you get you have the idea, but you're like, just get after it, take action. That's really great. But like not all of the same advice is going to work for everybody. And if you're watching this or listening to this, you gotta figure out what works for you. And if it's totally okay. Like, I just don't want anybody to think something's wrong with them. If they hear this and they try it, but it doesn't work. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. You just got to find the groove where it does, whatever you need to do to get moving. Because if you stay in the same spot, that's when you'll start to lock up. Your joints freeze up. Like your creativity starts to shrink. Like your vision starts to get consumed with the ego and the what ifs and the wonderings, thinking other people care instead of seeing yourself at the place you want to be. And,
Yeah.
and I think the last thing there is like some people, yes, showing up, putting yourself out there is huge. Like that's exactly what got me here. But I think some people, they need to find that partner that helps bring them out. Like
Yep.
they're not that naturally courageous or extroverted or whatever. And again, it's totally fine. But like then it comes back to the self-awareness piece and
Yep.
like arming yourself with the right tools so that you
Yep.
can get started. Because once you get started, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah. Once you get started, just don't care, get started, and find your medium of how you want to tell your story. That's it.
Great add-on. Find your medium.
You know, like
Mm-hmm.
it could be through pictures via Instagram, it could be through articles via medium.com or LinkedIn. It could be through videos via TikTok or YouTube shorts. Um, Once you get over the whole thing of like not caring, not overthinking about it, you don't care if it gets one like. Or I look at my videos and sometimes I'll get some of my videos that underperform to me, and I'll look back at it and I'm like, I love this video.
Hmm.
As long as you're in love with it, you got to remember this is the biggest takeaway. Content lives on forever. And if you want to go back to legacy, right? If you want to document and whatever, one day you're gonna have kids, right? And your kids are gonna be able to look back at your journey. Forget the
Mhm.
likes. Get over that stuff. Get over the views. Who cares about the views? It could be one person that views it. Your kids are gonna watch this.
Yeah.
Isn't that powerful? Like your kids are gonna watch this. You
Yeah.
know, it
It
lives forever.
it's honestly it's hard to really understand and comprehend because we can't do that yet. Like very few people are old enough to have the presence of mind to go back to their parents' socials and like see what they were up to, like
It's
I'm not excited
crazy.
for my kid to like tap into my high school Facebook, but that's
Yeah,
okay. You
my
just
high school Facebook, I was totally different.
but
I yeah,
you tap in and you course correct, you leave a legacy you're proud of.
yeah.
You got to do that all the time.
I'm super excited for my 12-year-old one day, or 13, 15-year-old, whatever, to be able to
Yeah.
look back in my journey, and like you're filming the documentary to your life right now. This is part of the documentary to our life right now, right
Yeah.
here as we speak. This is it. Who cares if
Absolutely.
one person's viewing or if nobody? Doesn't matter. Your kids are gonna watch this.
Mm.
It's crazy.
I don't know if that makes me feel young or old.
Both,
Both.
brother.
Um,
Shout out to Dream.
Shout out to Dream Joker who's been hanging out all day. He was in our previous stream too.
Okay, dope. He
Good.
just subscribed to No Promise Studios. He just got the alert. Just want to say thank you. Appreciate that.
Nice.
Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
that, man.
Joker. And they have this question about the NFT, whether is there any sort of utility side for supporting the artists and community, or is it really designed for
So
NYC
right,
folks?
so I love that. So we got that question before, and what we wanted to do was add a few different perks, right? So one of the perks is that you'll get actually sent a canvas or a coloring book, right? Or you'll get future royalties to our cookbook, right? So you actually get something physical.
Nice.
You'll hear it here first. Jeremy Knows gets the exclusive
Ah!
before the update on the website. After talking to our team, after talking to some of our advisors, that's really heavy in the NFT space, we are actually building an art piece that has every single piece, every single name of our supporters that's going to be held up in the restaurant.
Ooh.
So Jeremy Knows will be in our NYC. So you can be in India, you can be in Dubai, whatever the case is. Your name is actually going to be in our restaurant to honor
Wow.
our supporters. I think is a great add-on. But on top of that, to go back to your question, we're building a multimedia company.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where the studio is. It could be anywhere because the internet is forever. So you're investing in No Promise Studios stock per se, and we're building a multimedia company that's going to be global. Um,
Yeah. And as
that's
you
the big
grow and
takeaway.
as you have different pockets of communities, I'm sure you'll want to do pop-ups in France,
It's much
in
bigger. It's much bigger than food. It starts with food
mm,
because it starts with food because this is what I love. But like what I compare No Promise Studios is not what other people compare it to. I compare it to Netflix, Revolt, Fox,
hmm,
Disney. We're creating a multimedia company for emerging artists, right? I compare it to Food Network.
yeah.
The studio might be our home. The studio might be in Orlando, or it might be in Brooklyn or whatever. But the content piece and our movies or our TV shows or our shows that we do it will be everywhere, and you'll be able to invest in us. That's the way I look at it.
I love that. I love that. It's been a jam-packed 50 minutes. I'm actually surprised to see an hour fly by so fast. So bring us home. Let's get the event back up here. So this is in just over 2 weeks, Thursday, September 25th, 5:30 p.m.
29th.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
Thursday, September 29th. Show up early, 5:30 start, food and drinks, $15 tickets plus fees, free to Noble Promise Studios NFT holders. And you're going to get a blend of comedy, music, food, violin, and vibes, right?
We're blending. Like, if you look at the word culture, right? I was thinking about this today. If you look at the word culture, what does that mean? It means food, music, art, fashion, everything. That's what Noble Promise Studio stands for. It's our culture. It's going to be everything. That. It's going to be everything. It's not just a chef. It's not just a comedian. It's going to be everything. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a good time. And we're going to be getting content for the entire thing. So anyone that can't make it, we're going to be streaming on Skype. You heard it here first. We're going to be streaming it on Skype, and we're also going to be creating content for all the artists, right? So all these emerging artists, content is king. We're going to create content for them. So you'll see the event as well.
I'm going to hit Twitter right now. Sakari just dropped 3 alpha bombs on the stream. What's going on? My mind is exploding. Noble Promises to the moon.
Oh God.
I'm so happy for you. I can't wait to see you. But actually, before the event on the 29th,
yes,
we're gonna do a Twitter Spaces. We said next Monday, so yes. Monday, September 19th.
Yes, September 19th
in the evening.
In the evening, we're gonna do a Twitter Space. Hopefully, we can get some House Kitchen chefs in there as well.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, this lead up to the show is gonna be really exciting.
It's fun, man. It's a good time.
I can't wait to see it all roll out.
It's gonna be a good time. So yes, Twitter Space.
Yeah, so catch it on Twitter. We just put this together, but we're gonna work out some cameos. Yeah. But V friends need to show up for sure.
Yeah,
and yeah, I can't wait. And like I said, we're thinking about doing a ping pong after party. You know, it's kind of an obscure after party activity, but
I love it.
But shout out to Kowski who wants that.
I'm all about that. I'm gonna be doing a Q&A right after via Zoom, a Q&A right after the show is done with college students, which will be fun. And then we'll get right back to ping pong.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, I can't wait, man. I think we covered all the bases. I'm excited to catch up with you after the show and hear all the things you can't tell us now.
And this week, man, what is it? The 15th, we'll be at the V Friends.
Oh yeah, I'll see you Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Hopefully, we can get some sneakers in the raffle.
Yeah, and, I have my one free ticket, and I'm not sure if I should like bet the farm or if I should just cross my fingers or something in between.
Is there a limit to how many tickets you can get?
I'm definitely not going to bet the farm.
Okay.
I don't
think it's 5.
I don't think there is a limit. Is there? Is it? I don't. Sure. Why would they put a limit? I mean, there are people who probably would donate thousands of dollars. Why not just?
That's a good point.
Have a raffle.
I'm not going to bet the farm. I might put in $5 or something.
Yeah, I think I'll bring some cash.
I'll see. I just want to see everybody and say hello, and
it'll be a blast. Yeah, for anybody in New York City, round 2 this Thursday, 10 a.m. to 3 or 4. Gary's going to be there at 2 p.m. Shaking hands, talking to the folks,
kissing babies,
regular
stuff for Gary.
It does kind of feel like Gary walks around like the president a little bit, right?
Yeah,
like he's always doing meet and greets, and he gives keynotes. He's
fucking president.
He would want to be president if he was eligible, but because he's a foreigner, he can't.
I think so. But this has been Jeremy. Just want to say thank you. This has been great. I had a fun
Dude,
time.
it was
Thank you
my
so much.
pleasure. It was my pleasure. Yeah, we can't wait to see you at the next one. I'll see you Thursday. We'll see you on Spaces, and then we'll see you in Bushwick.
Yep. Sounds about right. Cheers.
All right, cool, man. Talk to you soon. Peace. You heard it here first, everybody. That was awesome. Sakari Smithwick of Noble Promise Studios, founder and chef. But it just starts with food. Like, I really love the mindset here. It's like everyone should have a version of this for their own passions. Like, let your passion lead you to a platform that then you can empower other people, sort of pave the way. Like, it's just so powerful. Very proud to know you, my friend. So this has been an alpha bomb on the Noble Promise Studios here on the Jeremy Knows channel. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful night. I'm Jeremy Heart Trooper 7, and I will catch you tomorrow.